Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's so good to be here. I have a mystery guest here who's very shy, so we're just going to do the show with the chat and everything. Let's say hello to my man for Atreus. I'm saying that terribly wrong, and I'm so sorry, but I'm so happy that you're here. I have to learn Greek apparently. But yeah, man, today is kind of a fun, cool, casual show. I'm just testing out different media to see if I can make sure that everything works well for my upcoming show. Yes, I've got a new show coming up, and it's going to be kind of a regular show where I have guests and talk about art and feature lots of cool reels and crazy cool stuff. So and I have a really special guest who helps me with video, AI production, things of this nature. So we're just going to look at some of his clips and some other stuff to make sure that the show does not lag because that's not fun. So let's get started with the next clip. Wow, mad edits from my good buddy Flash, who is going to be helping me with my upcoming show. Going to be creating an intro and outro and segment changes. Let's look at some more of Flash's work. This next piece here, let's see if I can line it up. Let's see what we got here. It's an experiment with AI and what can be done with AI. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. Uh-oh. So, just a quick note from Flash there. Sorry to clear things up. I didn't make it. I just shared it. Oh, okay. There's some music there from another friend of ours, Hamfari, who he's been a guest on my show. Amazing artist. Um, yeah, all that good stuff. So maybe clear this up here. Is this the one that you did, Flash? I'm sorry. I'm a little off on the jumping from doing the show to reading the chat. But either way, it's sick. It's really sick. So let's look at some new stuff here. The next one that we've got lined up is has a lot of merging faces. So let's quickly pop that on. But let's check out what Flash has to say first, just to clarify on who did what. Yes, I did the second one in black and white, not the Akira one. Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying. Sorry about that. Always want to give credit where credit is due. And so, here we go. Let's take a look at the next one. And if you guys could tell me in the chat, how's the audio? If it sounds good, turn it up, what have you. Let's check it out. Mm, Here we go. Pretty neat. I like that one. Again, the music of Hamfari, and yeah, the vibe is kind of spooky. It's kind of serious. It's kind of interesting. The fact that it's in black and white gives it an kind of an antique sort of flavor to it. That's, I don't know. It's just sort of neat. Reminds me of The Seventh Seal, the film about death. That's a pretty famous classic film. Yeah. So you guys, let me know what you think in the chat of the videos and the flavor, see how we like it. So let's move on. We're going to check out another clip and share that up right now. We got this one has a different look to it. I would say it's sort of painterly in my view. I look at this and I think, that it kind of looks like an oil painting of some kind. So let's just see how this one flows. Here we go. I don't think this one has audio on it. Hello, hello. Sorry, trying to get my audio on here again. So, I don't know, what did you guys think of that one? Let's take a look at the chat. Um, Flash says, I did that one. And he says, yes, I did the second in the black and white, not the, right. And then lastly, he says, oh, this was just a smoothness test. Ah, okay, got it. I'm thinking that the theme of the Crusader warriors is a really, really good theme. It opens up a can of worms in terms of like topics about like what themes should exist in art that we can say is art for the white identity movement. Clearly, the Crusader is a common theme that we see a lot. So that's cool. Let's check out some more graphics and some more media. What are your thoughts on AI? I feel that the movement's pretty split on that. I know people that are vehemently against it. What are your thoughts? Now, what is this one? Let's take a look at this one here. Okay. Okay, hold on. No audio in this, but wow, very cinematic. Very cinematic. Let's do that one more time. That was really cool. Oh, oops, wrong one. Hold on. Let's take a peek again. And away we go. Yeah, it's not loading. So that's the whole point of doing a test on a show, is to make sure that the tests run. So give this a quick second here and I'll pop this back on. Should be ready to roll about now. Okay. I think actually half the video is just a black screen. But look at how the arm forms in the foreground and then it turns into a kind of angel or a Valkyrie and then these different soldiers. Yeah, that's why, because it's the half the video is just like a black screen. So there again is the tree. I think this is kind of a pagan symbol, the tree of life, the oak. Is really important, and then it transforms into this kind of old landscape. You see these different pagan warriors and then these modern warriors. That's a really nice transition. What do you guys think, though? I want to get your opinions on this. Hello to my good friend Rexus. Ladies and gentlemen, you are at the Rexus Nexus. Here he is. This is one of the cool dudes that comes to my live art stream. And I just want to, let me know, what did you think of that? I'm going to be showing you a couple more things. This next one's pretty fun. It's another piece that Flash created, and we'll pop that up on the screen for you in a second here. It's really short, but it's super cool. Are you ready? Slam! That's a neat little piece right there. It's I mean, the concept of it, I think, is really cool. There's things that could change about it, I suppose, but I just love how the Mjolnir is kind of like almost made of light, the way it's glowing and the way it's being thrown just by a normal dude, just by an average dude. I don't know what he's holding in his mouth. He looks like he's gonna spit out something. It's that seems a little weird to me. I guess maybe the prompt could change that, but it's still pretty neat. It's a pretty funky dunky bit of AI there. Nice, cool. All right. Now, is AI evil? Should we completely ignore it in our sphere? Should it not be allowed in the arts of the white identity movement? Any thoughts on this, guys? Where do you stand? Share your thoughts with us. Part of what makes this show great is the interaction with the audience. So jump on board. Okay, now this one, excuse me, is a drawing of one of my superhero characters that I created, the Overman. And obviously, Overman is Ubermensch. He's a kind of a white nationalist superhero. So I just tossed it in AI to see what it could do, and let's take a look. Kind of neat. It's sort of an interesting metamorphosis. Um, Not sure that I can use it, um, and I'm not so sure about how I would fix something like that. But I have to say, it's pretty neat to see your own characters come alive. When you create these characters, they symbolize concepts that are really meaningful and personal. And as such, you want, they're alive in your mind, they're alive in your heart. And so when you actually see them come alive through this kind of animation, it's almost spooky. It literally is almost kind of flippy because they live in your imagination. They were born from your mind, from perhaps even your subconscious. And so it's just really neat. So now I'm going to show you a much more advanced version of this. And this next character is a character called, oh, let's get some reactions here. Rexus says AI is helpful, but I think it should be used to enhance it, not completely used for everything like CGI. It should be used to enhance what you're making. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I find that that is a very reasonable position. It's generally how I feel. I think that it's going to have to be case by case in terms of what you look at. Now, this next character is a character that I designed for the Alliance, for the new Delphi Media.com. So this is the big graphic novel you guys know I'm publishing with New Delphia Media. Go to New Delphi, it, Delphi's Delphi, New Delphi Media.com. You can pre-order the graphic novel. It's freaking awesome. It's a crazy roller coaster ride of political memes and just crazy fun stuff. So anyway, this is one of the characters in that story. Now, this is a way more advanced AI. Now you got to try to realize it took a 2D drawing of mine and then it somehow interpreted the anatomy from a 3D perspective and then somehow created these kinds of martial arts moves. These are literally martial arts moves, actually. Um, Kind of like block, crash. This is arm breaks. The very various throws, things that I know about. But granted, it's not 100%, perfect, whatever. But like I said, for me, it's just such a gratifying feeling to see my character come alive like this. It's so cool. And you have to understand, like, she's really not just mine. This is a collaboration with the writer, the author of The Alliance. I did not write the graphic novel. So he has concepts, and then I try to visualize the concepts. So it's, in a sense, you could think of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and how they used to work together, designing different characters and such like that. So let me see if I can get any reactions in the chats. All right. I guess we'll move on then. Pop that off. All right. Let's see what else. I think what we'll do is take a quick look at some AI art that Flash created. And again, I really would love to hear your thoughts in the audience. Let me know if you think the style and the mood is good for representing my show, representing our cause, our culture, the culture of the arts. These AI artworks created by Flash are there's a variety of them, and you can imagine that they could be used some kind of video like what we saw before at the beginning of the show. So they're sort of like stills from those videos, if you can imagine that. So let's pop that on. Give me a second here. We're gonna cook that up, and away we go, ladies and gentlemen. How's that look? It's kind of neat. There's something spooky about this a bit here. The the lighting, a lot of AI feels like a dream to me. It's feels like photographs of something inside a dream. Rexus says, I remember generating some AI art with Slavic mythology. I still have them in the files. Cool beans, man. Now your icon there, I believe that's a Slavic Sunwheel. I don't know. Maybe you can tell us about that a little bit. But let's look at some more. This is just a Word document. I you know popped them all in there. This one's kind of flippy with like the glowing eyes and such. It's a little, I don't know, slight. I don't mind spooky if it's purposeful and it's but at the same time I don't want to send like such a dark message either. Um, Granted, we are at war for our existence. The whole purpose of the white identity movement is to stop white genocide, and part of that is getting rooted in our history, our culture, our collective identity to build the new imperium of global white identity, global white enlightenment, global white consciousness. So works of art are key in terms of allowing that to happen. This piece right here is very, very magical. I feel like this could be a scene from Greek mythology, something of this nature. There's something kind of holy in this temple here. The way the clouds are working, very mythological, has a really, really strong mythological tone and flavor to it. Let's quickly check out the chat here. Flash says, "Oh, that's because I intentionally made them dreaming." Okay, there you go. You can kind of comment a little bit on, whatever you want to say about the works. Help us appreciate them, understand them a little bit more. This is kind of neat. It's got a bit of more of a sci-fi, alien, UFO-ish quality to it with that light. I watch a ton of UFO videos, so like this is like stuff that you actually see in certain places, which is kind of trippy, but that's another story. Hey, there's our guy. This I love. Looks like a scene in the movie Excalibur. Who here has seen the movie Excalibur? That is one of the greats. That's one of my personal favorite movies. So uh, let's continue. That's got my seal of approval for sure. Check out some more. Oh wow! See, that goes right back to that. It's the same tone, and kind of meaning that we saw in that earlier piece that had the mythological strength. Just the idea of putting a pillar, like I think that, I don't know if I'd say that's Doric or Corinthian, but a Roman pillar up on a pedestal, that in itself is a symbol, an icon of Western civilization. It's profound. It's very simple and beautiful. It's a really, really neat concept. The way the sunlight is just escaping from behind it, and that strange fog that it almost looks like it's alive. It looks as if there's a spirit floating around there, maybe the spirit of our ancestors, the spirit of our gods. Fascinating, fascinating. How do you like my narration of all this stuff? Boy, I should be a voice actor. What am I doing here? I've been playing Rexus says I've been playing Ancestors Legacy. The way they depict England is perfect for a dark fantasy. Wow. Flash says so far they're just test runs to achieve a good animation consistency. Then I'll work on the whole animation script. What you're showing right now are experiments in aspect. Excellent. So I guess I have to say real quick, like I adore Flash. He's one of my best friends in the movement. He's a kind of a mentor to me. I really deeply respect his views and wisdom. Is to work with him creatively on this show, on this project, is like a dream come true for me. I'm really, really pleased. So let's see, one more comment. To see what style would express the identity of the show best. Wow. Yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, the show is definitely going to be a fun show. It's not going to be like a sad show or something. The purpose of the show really is to have more like a kind of like a late night talk show. Fun people, fun banter. We're going to watch funny reels. We're going to respond to things. Of course, we can get serious. And but overall, it's a culture review show, and then I'll have all kinds of artists, musicians who listen to new music. There's just insane amounts of new creators out there, especially on Instagram. Um, Flash says, "I'm honored for the praises and responsibility, friend." I recently found out that "friend" stands for um, far right ethno nationalist. That's awesome. That's awesome. So this piece right here looks very much like kind of a Turner painting. There's a British painter, William Turner. I can't remember his first name. His Turner's his last name. In the art history world, in the history of English painting, he's extremely famous and well known. And he does these extremely misty. His work is like a precursor for Impressionism. So this got a marvelous mythological quality to it that's wonderful, wonderful. Ooh, even more of that, leaning into the sci-fi. I almost think I can hear the Sarduka warrior song in there. You guys know the Sarduka from Dune? I love that. I want to listen to that like 10 hours a day. I love that. It's so cool. It's just anyway. Let's move on. I know I'm getting a little nerdy here. Ooh, there you go. Interesting stuff. Um, let's move on. Now, this one is different, right? This has a different flavor, aesthetic to it. I guess I am thinking of Avatar a little bit, the movie. Um, there's something there. I don't know. The palette, maybe it's just a different story behind this. There's a different narrative here. Now, this one is more exciting because a lot of the work is very gray, and the that kind of grayness, like, I don't know, I'm a painter, I like color, I feel like, keep the drama, the chiaroscuro, the lighting effects, the drama of that, but, Rexa says, "Ain't we all nerdy?" Yeah. Yeah, it's get in touch with your inner nerd for sure. So, and then what's also interesting about this is the use of red and green. So red and green are complementary colors on the color wheel. So together they create a kind of dynamic energy. This is the theory of color. That's how color works. So, and then the mysterious character. There oftentimes seems to be that character. I forget. Oh, gosh, it's driving me nuts. A famous painter. We see this all the time in our sphere. It's the man standing on top of the mountain. You see him from behind. He's looking down on the clouds. Jared Taylor's book on white identity has that painting as the cover. It's an Austrian painter, German painter, kind of a romantic period in German painting. Anyway, reminds me of that a bit. And again, this is kind of like going on a journey. The singularity of this is very powerful. Um, Now, this one here and the next one remind me of Frank Frazetta. Who here sees Frank Frazetta in this? So, like, Frazetta would use this kind of palette. Casper David Friedrich. Flash Gorgon for the fucking win. Pardon my language, but holy cow. Fucking, it's a city in China. Anyway, um, yes, Casper David Friedrich. That's the guy. Thank you, sir. You saved me. Um, Liga des Heilswehr Siegen voran. I wish I knew what that meant, but I sounded cool reading it. Anyway, here we are with that looks like Frazetta. Yep. The way that the what do you call it, like the fog or whatever is blending different colors. Of course, the flow of the cape, just it's just very Frazetta. If you know Frazetta, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, get out of here. Forget about it. Oh, tell me that's not another Frazetta right there. Frazetta was really good with purples and yellows. If you ever take, as a painter, this is the kind of stuff you notice. But if you look at his work, try to break it down in terms of color theory and the balance of cool and warm colors. And then, of course, there's neutral colors, which would be like the brown, gray, black, white. These are neutral colors. So, and then the hue of the color is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of has that atmospheric uh, perspective where it's kind of it gets like the color is less and less brilliant as it moves back in space. It's definitely Frazetta based. Good thinking. Good thinking. Cool, man. So that was a fun little romp looking at some artwork. Now we're going to check out a little video. Now, as you guys know, I'm really, really on top of what's happening politically, specifically in the framework of white identity and our movement and our cause, our struggle. So, regardless of your thoughts, positions on Nick Fuentes, and I know a lot of people are very vocal against him, um, he is the guy that is pushing the needle right now. He is the fulcrum of politics right now. Whether he turns out to be a Fed or this or that, we'll find out in time. But at the moment, what he's doing, or I don't want to say what he's doing. It's more like what's happening in general. That the kind of MAGA right wing media machine is having to cope with him. They're having to face him. They're having to talk to him instead of talk about him like a bunch of leftists. And so you see different people are coming up to Fuentes and trying to have a conversation with him. Last night or yesterday was the what do you call it? Pierce Morgan interview. Wow. I mean, some of the best edits and clips off of that. Super funny. What a contrast between the boomer Gen X generation and the younger generation, and what a statement about owning racial pride, being a race realist, destroying the old narrative. It's powerful stuff. The Overton window is like a freight train just barreling down towards the far right. The future is far right. So let me read before I show the clip. We're going to look at Louder with Crowder. and his comments on having Nick Fuentes on. So here we go, louder with Crowder. Back in 2016, he was fun and cool and hot and, you know, enjoyable. But then, like, over time, just, we all moved on deeper into the far right, but he kind of stayed in that normie MAGA sphere. So I have to give him credit for stepping up, having Fuentes on the show and talking about hard questions such as racism, etc. So let me respond to your chats here real quick. Rexus says, that's a song. It's perfect to describe the man on the mountain, as one of the lyrics said, courage will be God among gods. Wow, powerful stuff. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, he's waking up people, correct? Let's see what Flash has. So you consider him more as a sort of manifestation. I forgot the esoteric term. Egregore. Interesting. That's the term. Um, that is a very, very interesting question. An egregore in reality is more of a occult manufactured entity. So, whereas Nick Fuentes is a guy, who was a kid, who was just an kind of a normal, precocious kid that entered, like, he kind of mainlined right into politics after high school, and he, he's very talented at talking, as you guys can tell. He's like really gifted with that, and some people are. He has like linguistic intelligence, basically. There's different kinds. I have visual intelligence. Someone else has physical motion intelligence. That would be a good athlete. Others have mathematical intelligence. There's different forms of intelligence. So somebody saw him regurgitating like Ben Shapiro talking points back in like 2015, 16, something, and called in and got him hired. Then once he was in that world, the real media world, and the whole thing started, he questioned Israel. Like, why are we sending $300 billion to Israel every year? And the backlash of that was so amazingly dramatic. Instead of trying to answer him or just quietly fire him for another reason, Ben Shapiro went out of his way to destroy Fuentes, getting him debanked on a no-fly list. Many, many things, that were way, way overboard. Like it was the classic kind of like totalitarian Antifa communist, like crush him out, like destroy him, simply for asking that one question. So, being who he is, being the age he was, how badly it fucked up his life, that gave him the mission that he's on now. And then gradually, over time, here he is. So the egregore, or the happening, if you will, is not so much Nick Fuentes. It's actually Candace Owens, because she was the one that put a hole in the wall in between the sort of what they called the new right, which was like Tucker Carlson, um, that tiny group of people that got kicked out of MAGA per se, but are technically still part of MAGA. They just whatever. Candace Owens questioned Israel. Bang, she got fired from Daily Wire. So when she was the first one to interview Nick Fuentes, it's like when you put a hole in that wall, she didn't realize that there's a tsunami behind that wall, that there's an ocean of anger and pain, but also an ocean of us, the far right, the power of truth, the power of our movement. And it came, like the wall started to crack, and more and more and more. And then, you had Kirk, Charlie Kirk got murdered. That moved things. That the whole thing just started moving, moving, moving. There's a lot of evidence that Israel had something to do with his murder. Um, I could do like a whole show just on this topic, basically. But let me try to speed it up here. So now everyone is lining up to go and like have their shot at Nick Fuentes. Not everyone, but like to have Pierce Morgan, like who else is there after Pierce Morgan? Like nobody. I mean, I mean Ben Shapiro maybe. It's like so it's over. Like that's all broken apart and now they're trying desperately to pull the narrative back together. They know that everyone under 35 is off the reservation. They're not going to vote Republican. I shouldn't say everyone, but it's an increasing scale. It's a big deal. So anyway, with all that, let me just quick read. Uh, Rexa says Ben Shapiro is a little salty that people are asking the JQ. Yes, sir. A little more than salty, but yes, I would definitely agree. So let's have a look at what Louder with Crowder has to say about this. Are you ready? Let's see if he can step up. Step up to the plate and be another person to take his audience to us. You get my point? This is meaningful. This is really, really meaningful. And so I think I've already. Here we go.
That will happen. It is inevitable. It is inevitable. And so what I want is to listen to the person first saying, I'm not racist, but I went to an all-black school and I got my are much more violent. People know that. But if you start off with, and why should you say that? Isn't it down to the individual? People go, like, this is useless. This is useless. And then they go, you know what? I used to say you shouldn't say the N-word, but now if that's what breaks through, fine. Fine. I mean, what do you think? What I was talking about too is what do you think happens if you're a young white man and you have one white guy who gets expelled because he goes into a black only space, like at Mizzou or whatever it is. Or you get two people, okay, this person is now got an F because they didn't do the check your privilege test or white guilt test or whatever it was that they were issuing at that point in time. Okay, there's one or there's two. But then when you have hundreds of thousands or millions and people know that it's a lie and they're saying, look, I'm not saying all black people and I'm not a racist, but there is a point in time where the person who is saying, I am not a racist, but if you keep silencing them and saying, no, I don't want to hear your views at all. I don't want to hear your views at all because you won't check your white privilege. I don't want to hear your views at all because you don't believe in reparations. I don't want to hear your views at all because you don't believe in DEI. I don't want to hear your views at all because you're citing crime statistics. The person saying I'm not racist, but will transform to I'm a fucking racist. How about that? That will happen. It is inevitable. It is inevitable. And so what I want is to listen to the person first saying, I'm not racist, but I went to an all-black school and I got my ass kicked. And I had black friends, but I also saw what happened with them getting involved with crime. I'm not racist, but we do need to talk about the problem of catch and release and this man who killed Irina Zarutska being out 14 times. I'm not racist, but Daniel Penny on that subway who was assisted by other minorities to use the word, because on that subway, they probably weren't a minority. I'm not racist, but I think labeling that guy a racist is actually a problem because we need more Good Samaritans. I'm not racist, but I think there's an incentive for Jussie Smollett to fake a race crime because that's a currency in the entertainment industry. I'm not racist, but I think it's disgusting that Bubba Wallace said there was a noose and people ran with it and we knew it wasn't true. It was likely as true as the race crime hoax of poop swastika. By the way, Nazis don't tend to draw their symbol in poop. I'm not racist, but we need to have an honest conversation about what makes us different, the different problems that these communities are facing, why we don't want it in ours, and see how we can fix it. Because the only solution, I'm not racist, but the only solution if we stay on this trail is what? The balkanization of the United States? I'm not racist, but, and all along when that person is saying it, by the way, most of America, certainly all of Black and other minority America, they will say these things and they'll get off scot-free. There is a point in time where I'm not racist, but will transform. Not can it will transform to I'm a fucking racist. If you refuse to listen and you silence them. So I'm not saying I want to get to I'm a fucking racist. What I'm saying is I want to listen to people and not get to that phase. I'm not racist, but again, I'm using this right here to make a point. I'm not saying that exact phrase. I'm not racist, but this is a problem that I've noticed, and I feel like we're not allowed to talk about it. You know how you prevent that from becoming I'm a fucking racist? Is you go, you know what? Let me hear you. Let's talk about it. A lot of people don't want to because they see it as platforming. It's not what we do here. I'll platform Jillian Michaels, angry lesbian who adopted or had a surrogate baby. There are few things that are more of an affront to God than that.
Wow, that was fun. Interesting. Yeah, I like to see this kind of thinking. I like the direction that he's going in because he's just using logic, right? And that's how all of us came to understand the truth of the of white genocide as we figured it out. We didn't get caught up in the Marxist dialectic, the white guilt, the bullshit. We had a hard conversation with ourselves about it. Rexa says, I definitely drew hooked cross on my delicious food. Okay. Um, let's move on. So we got Flash says, "Yep, lol." Oh no, no, that's you're laughing at what Flash says here. Oh, I got that all wrong. They say you are what you eat. Wah, wah. Good one, good one. So yeah, that's it, guys. I just wanted to do a kind of a media test show. I'm building up this new show for January, and it's a lot of like juggling, all of this media stuff and talking at the same time. But the more interaction I get from the audience and the more interaction I get from future guests during all of that will help to make it flow. And then I won't be spending huge amounts of time on any one thing. I'm gonna kind of like do little 5-minute segments with different themes as I go. That way, the show is really enjoyable. Cool. Yeah. So I want to say thank you to the few people that came. Please share share this link, and if you would, up in the top left corner, there is a QR code. Well, that goes to my Venmo. So if you would like to be friendly, send me a little Christmas donation so that, I can do more artwork, buy some art supplies or do whatever. Your donations are truly, truly appreciated. So thank you so much for coming. Send this out to your networks, and we got a lot more coming. 2026 is going to be a great year. God bless you guys. See you next time.